forwarded back?
Forward back, yeah.
Okay.
And then you don't have any videos?
Mm-mm.
Okay, perfect. All right. Oh, he's good. Okay.
Okay. Hello. This is my summer at Shiloh Vineyard. So a little introduction, that's me with a bird that I scared out of a vine on accident. I am a sophomore in college at Cloud County Community College, and I plan to graduate with an associate's in biology and then attend Fort Hays State University to continue my studies. This is my first year in the Nex-Gen internship program, and this summer I worked at Shiloh Vineyard and Winery because I have an interest in plants and their many uses, such as winemaking. A little quick, there were lots of animals at the vineyard. So right here we have donkeys. There's 4 donkeys. There's only 3 in this picture. Sometimes we get to go out and feed them treats. So that's what we're doing here. The middle photo here is Reba and Dakota. Those are our supervisors. Make sure that we stay in line. And then the last picture there is Dakota, the supervisor, needing supervised because she had gotten tangled up in one of the vines. So our day-to-day usually involved, so many days started in the vineyard first thing in the morning before it got too hot. This included tending the vines and pulling weeds. And then after lunch, we would work in the winery, which was filtering and bottling the wine. Sometimes we do different tasks depending on the day, such as pruning flowers, cleaning off the patio, weeding the flower beds, mowing, and collecting apples. And then as summer went on, we also got to put nets on the vines to protect the fruit from birds. And then weather decided if we were able to work or not. Speaking of birds, these are some pictures of birds that we've encountered because the vines are prime spots for birds to make nests. So this was a nest that we found that had 1 chick hatched in it, and you can kind of see some of the eggs started having little poke spots in them. The middle picture is a nest with a cowbird egg in it. If you don't know, cowbirds are parasitic birds. They'll lay their eggs in other birds' nests and have the other birds raise them. And then the nest on the end is a nest of western kingbird chicks. And we actually had a lot of fun with the western kingbirds because they're very defensive over their young. So we couldn't really work on that specific vine because we would get attacked by the birds. So that was fun. So tending the vineyard involved tying up the vines to reduce wind damage because, you know, in Kansas, wind is a problem. We would put rubber bands to keep the vines on the wire. So there's 3 wires on this picture here. You can't really see them, but there's 3 wires. And that top wire, we use rubber bands to tie the thicker parts of the vine to keep it on the wire because as the vines develop, they become heavy, especially when they get fruit on them. And then we have green tape. It's not actually tape. It just kind of, it ties, and it ties down the new growth. Another thing that was important was in cordon development, which was important for establishing good structure in first and second year vines. And the cordon development just means that you have 2 vines going in opposite directions. And then another thing we did was remove harmful pests because the bugs that target leaves are detrimental to plant growth. Speaking of harmful pests that target leaves, this is a hornworm. Tomato hornworms are caterpillars that are massive pests in the vineyard or any garden. 1 worm can single-handedly strip the leaves off of a vine. This hornworm here was my very first encounter with one. It's about this big. Our other intern, Emma, actually was the one who found it and said, "Look, I found a baby." And I'm like, "That's a baby? They get bigger?" Yes, they do. This is the first encounter I had with a hornworm. I accidentally touched it because it was hiding underneath a leaf. They are really gross. They are really gross. They come in different colors to blend in with their surroundings. This one didn't do a good job at that because you can see it's brown. But they come in green, brown, like an orangish color. Some can come in red. There's 2 different varieties of hornworms that are just disgusting all around. Another thing they do is they spit leaf juice to deter predators. They're just so gross. They're so gross. Not everything was hornworms and birds. So another big part of working at the vineyard was filtering and bottling. So With the filtering part or bottling in general, the most important part was cleaning and sanitizing because if you don't clean and sanitize before and after you use a tool, there's a chance that there could be something growing inside of it, and you don't want that getting into the wine because it can contaminate it. The wine needs to be filtered before it can be bottled because as wine ages, sediment settles at the bottom of the barrel, and filtering keeps sediment out of the final product. The pressure gauge on the motor that filters the wine had to be monitored. It's usually what I did because the sediment can cause blockage that can cause pressure to increase, and when the pressure increases, well, then wine sprays everywhere. Now, as for bottling, there are 4 stages in the bottling operation, which is sanitizing bottles, placing bottles under the spouts and putting corks in the bottles after they are filled, and the filling system was a 4-spout system that you just push the bottles up onto and they fill, and it automatically detects how full the bottle is, which works normally, except sometimes if it's not properly in line, you could have wine spraying everywhere. And then putting shrink caps on the bottles after they've been corked and labeling and placing the bottles into boxes. And then another important thing is every bottle is given a shot of argon before the wine is dispensed into it because argon is heavier than air and aids in preventing the wine from oxidizing, which basically just means being exposed to air. So in conclusion, overall working at Shiloh was a very fun experience. I learned many new things that I may not have been exposed to otherwise. I got to work with amazing and friendly people who made every day enjoyable and enriching, and this internship has further rooted my interest in plants, and I know the things I learned this summer will help me succeed in my future. And this is a picture of a young female oriole perched on a vine. And I just want to say thank you to Shiloh Vineyard for giving me the opportunity to work with them this summer. So thank you to Kirk, Treva, Chris, Kim, for being wonderful people to work with. And then thank you Nex-Gen for having this program and allowing people to experience things that they wouldn't normally get to experience.